I am now live. Hello. No one has joined yet, but I am going to start with my story already. I'll give it a few more seconds. This is my first time going live, so I hope everything goes well. But I am so excited to share like my story, what I've been through, my time in Korea, and so on. And I'm hoping that my experience will resonate with someone else and inspire them to go to Korea. Because yeah, it was a positive experience for me. I am live, I hope. I hope I am live. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just get into it. My name is Amy. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. I am at the moment 29 years old. So I born and raised in Cape Town, never been abroad before when I was a child. Just stayed in my little hometown area in Cape Town. And then when I was in university, I studied a bachelor's degree in history and sociology. So nothing, well, at the time, the thought of teaching English or teaching wasn't an option for me. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing with my life. I just knew that I was interested in those two topics, those two majors. So, yeah, I went into university without an end goal of where my majors would lead to. So I graduated, and after I graduated, I had honestly no idea what I was gonna do. So I'm guessing that a lot of people were in the same boat as me, especially the people that I met in Korea. A lot of them were like they weren't sure what to do after university, after graduating. So how it happened was I graduated, and I was accepted into doing an honors program at my university 1 week. Um, and at that point, I was just like, I was done with studying. I was so tired of like just going to school all the time, and I wanted to start living life, if you will. And so I it was the first week, and I needed to decide if I wanted to drop out or not. And there was EPIC is the English program in Korea. It's the public school program, and they actually came to do a talk at my university. So they told us all about the opportunity, and it's kind of like a recruitment talk. And I still didn't think it was an option for me, but things were not going well in the honors program. I was not happy, and I was not like passionate and enjoying it. So I made a list of like pros and cons of teaching abroad and staying and finishing my honors program. And it was a difficult decision to make, but in the end, I decided to quit and pursue teaching abroad for 1 year, and then I was going to come back and do my honors program. Um, so first thing I did was I decided to get experience teaching online, so I started doing that, and I did the in-person TESOL course, which was I've learned so much in those 3 weeks because I was able to teach like African refugees in my practicals, and so I learned like the TESOL course really does help because you learn so much in a short space of time. And then I applied to the English program in Korea, and I got accepted without experience besides those 2 months teaching online. So when people ask why did you go to Korea, I didn't choose like Korea specifically. When I was looking at the countries, it was more because they helped with finding accommodation, and they paid for your accommodation, so I wouldn't have to go there, find an apartment, and have that added stress. Um, and the second reason, because of safety. Korea is so safe. I mean, they obviously are like they have their own issues in Korea, but overall, as a woman, I could walk around. at 2 a.m. I could go to the convenience store in the middle of the night to buy water, and I would feel completely safe. So that was another major factor because I was 22 years old and it was my first time going abroad. So that's the reason why I chose Korea. And I did not know much about the country, but I watched lots and lots of YouTube videos, and eventually, yeah, it was time for me to go abroad. When you do Epic, you for the first week you have like orientation program, and it just the emphasizes everything that you've learned in your TESOL course before, but like more targeted towards Korean students. And so that's where the challenge starts. In this new country, everything's exciting, but I did not know Korean and I did not know much about Korea. So I'm not going to say that moving to another country is all sunshine and roses and glitter, because it wasn't. For me, it was the first 3 months. Like, you know that culture shock will come and you know, like, you expecting it, but when it hits you, it hits hard. So I want to say for the first 3 months, I cried almost every day. I wanted to go back home so bad. If my mom had said, like, Amy, come home, I would have just gone home. So luckily they pushed me to stick it out more because I was in a rural area. I was in Asan. Asan is maybe 2 hours south of Seoul, and I was working in elementary school and a middle school. And so at the elementary school, I was there for 3 days a week, and then the middle school, I was twice a week. And so in Korea, elementary school, I was teaching third grade to sixth grade, and then I was just basically helping the teachers that were there. And it was a smaller school, so they didn't use me quite as much. Like I was mainly there. The teachers would want me to play a game at the end of the lesson, and in public schools, especially with Epic, your what they want you to do, your co-teacher wants you to do, it will vary. So I've had co-teachers who wanted me to take control of the entire lesson, and they were just there like for support with classroom management. And then I had a co-teacher who would want me to just be there to like recite things so that students can repeat after me for pronunciation. So I was doing basically nothing. And then I've had other teachers like the school who wanted me to play games for like 10 minutes at the end of the lesson using the target language. And then I've had one teacher, Sally teacher, where we did everything 50-50. So she would do certain parts of the lessons, I would do certain part of the lessons, and we would plan the lesson every day together. So I quite like that 50-50 kind of relationship because I've learned a lot from her, and it gave me a lot more opportunity to be in the lead in the classroom as well. So yeah, first year I was in elementary school in the countryside, literally in the middle of the rice paddies, and I had to take a bus for about 40 to 50 minutes to and from every day, which was actually quite nice. I enjoyed the ride. It was relaxing, just to get your mind together before you get to school. And then at the middle school, I was able to lead the lessons. But I'm sure you've heard about Korea and everything being quite last minute, and native English teachers don't always get told or communicated if there are changes. So I would prepare my lessons, which I did the speaking lessons, and then my co-teacher would do the reading and the writing and grammar lessons. But sometimes I would prepare these amazing lessons with amazing PowerPoints because they need, like, middle school students really need a lot of um, stimulation and material that's engaging. So, what happened? Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, I would plan these amazing PowerPoint lessons, and then no one would show up in my classroom, and I would not know where they were. So maybe like periods got changed around, or they were studying, or maybe they were learning in the reading lesson, but I wouldn't get notice of that. But besides that, teaching middle school was so fun. I was 22 at the time, and some of the kids were like 15, 16, so we had a lot of similar interest. It was in 2016, BTS just started getting big, and they introduced me to them. So it was nice to be able to have conversations with your students, join in on their sports days. yeah, I learned a lot from them during that time, and it was a good experience. Um, the thing that I love the most is the about teaching in Korea, specifically in public schools, is work-life balance. Um, I taught, I think it's 20 to 22 hours in one week, and you get off by like 4:30. And 4:30, you're on your way home, and then there's no work to be done at home, because you don't write any reports or anything like that. So that's why I'm a big like advocate for public schools, because I did have, even though I was in the countryside, I had opportunities to um, go to Seoul or travel all around Korea because I had that free time. Would you say there were any specific challenge living teaching in a Yes. So back to my 3 month crisis of crying every day. I felt a bit isolated. I think that was the challenge for me because I didn't know like anyone in the area. It was a rural area, and yeah, it took time to adjust because there is like a lot of Korean there. But after the 3 months, things got so much better for me. I feel like I had to go through that to actually be able to appreciate and have the good experience that I had. Because living in a rural area, I think it's the best thing to do for your first time in Korea because you do get to immerse yourself in the culture fully. So I was forced to use the Korean phrases that I've learned, and I quite like the way that the locals, like, you start to build relationships. Like if you're going to a certain coffee shop all the time, or if you're going to a certain convenience store that's close to your home, or um, like you there's a two or three other native English teachers in your town, and you get to know them, and certain restaurants you always go to, and so or I where eye contact, so there's a specific store I would go to with that. So I was building relationships, and I started to feel like I had a community, which when I was living maybe in a bigger city, I didn't get to have that feeling. Working with the kids was also great, because the class sizes were quite small. It was smaller, and there were more opportunities to like interact with them. Um, just overall, I think living in a rural area also pushes you to go to see other sides of Korea. So instead, like, some people might live in a big city like Seoul and they'll just stay in Seoul. But because I lived in Asan, weekends I was exploring. I went to Taean, I went to the East Coast, I went to the West Coast, I went down south. I would go for weekends to Seoul. So it gave me an opportunity to see so many other sides. But I think the main thing from living in a rural area is getting that cultural experience that you wouldn't find anywhere else. I was eating Korean food every day. I made Korean friends. That was fun. And so for me, Asan, living in a small town, living in a rural area like Asan, it was the perfect start to life in Korea because I got to jump into it, and yeah, it was a really good experience. Um, then living in Asan, that for the first year, I had only planned to go to Korea for 1 year, and I thought that would be it. But towards the end of my journey, I met so many good people, friends. They are my friends still to this day, and I, in the first year, I went to lots of festivals and things like that, and yeah, so when I left, I felt like 1 year was not enough to explore Korea. There's just so much to see, so much to do. So yeah, I did end up coming back to a bigger city. Um, and when I came back the second time, I feel like it was much more different. I was more focused on learning the language, which if you just know Hangul, it will take you so far. I would practice by reading the signs on the buildings, and you're able to see menu items and understand what it's saying. Because a lot of times it's written in like the Korean alphabet, but if you sound it out, it sounds English. So taking that first step and enrolling into classes, learning basic Korean was so helpful for me. At that time, I had established a group of friends. I joined a language exchange group. They met every Wednesday in Ansan, and that was such a good way for me to meet other foreigners, but also to meet Korean people who became friends as well. And the language exchange group would have some like events that you could go to. So I went to a glamping event. That was quite cool. They have like games night, for example. They have open mic night. So I think if you worried about making friends, a good way to make friends, especially local friends, is to join a language exchange group. Yeah. So first year was with Epic. Great experience. I came back home to South Africa, which I feel like a lot of people do. A lot of people go to Korea, they think it's going to be 1 year, and they end up enjoying it so much that they come back again. So I did end up coming back again, and my second time I came back, I was in private schools, which are known as hagwons. So a lot of people who go to Korea teach in hagwons, and for me, I would say up until this point, like the best class that I've ever had in my whole life was my kindergarten 5-year-old students in the private school in Korea. So I had 6 students. In Korea, they're 5 years old, but at the time they were three turning four or like 4 years old. So they were super duper young. I remember they could wrap their little fingers around my finger. And I was so intimidated at first because I was like, I don't actually know how to deal with kids. Like, I don't know how to interact with really young kids. But when I tell you what a joy, at the end of the year, they all had little South African accents, which is so cute. And they came in there not knowing any English. Like, that was their first year of schooling. And so they didn't even know hello. And they were given English names. And I would call them the English name, for example, Mason, and he wouldn't know that that was his name because, like, that's the level of English that they were at. They didn't know much. Um, it brings so much joy as a teacher to see learners not know go from not know anything and then at that age like absorbing everything like a sponge. And so I was able to see them grow and they were like my little babies. I saw them every day. So it wasn't like in the other schools where I would see them like once or twice a week. I was with them every day. I was their homeroom teacher, and so that was really good. The only challenge was that I did have to do like a lot of report cards. Just want to be honest. And in the beginning, it was quite difficult to do. I had to do report cards for each of my kindergarten kids, and I was teaching elementary school as well. So it was a lot of report cards to write all the time. In the beginning, it was difficult. I was taking work home and trying to finish it there. But when I was speaking to teachers who have been there for a long time, I learned a lot of good tips. So mid here, middle of my contract, towards the end of my contract, I was a pro. I could get it done quickly. The key, there's a few keys. The key is you'll realize after a while you use a lot of the same phrases or you focus on a lot of the same things. But so it becomes easier to think of what to say. The writing process becomes more natural. But more than that, every day I would make a note. If I see, let's say, uh, Gia she's really doing well with tracing today, then I will make a note of that. Today is the 19th of October. Make a note she is doing well with tracing. Or if someone's having a difficulty concentrating, I would make a note of that. So every day, if you have notes and it comes to time to write your report card, it's basically written for you already. The problem came when I was leaving it all for the end of the month instead of doing it bit by bit. So it became a lot easier in that sense. I really liked my apartment the second year. I got a studio apartment, but it was a loft apartment, so it had a little upstairs bedroom. The apartment was brand new. I was the first person to live in it, so that was also quite nice experience that I had working for private schools. You also get to go on a lot of excursions with the kids, which is nice to get out of the classroom a little bit. So I really enjoyed that year, my 1 year working in a Hagwon. It did have challenges in terms of workload, but as I mentioned before, I was able to overcome that just by working more strategically. But yeah, still my favorite class to this day. After that, I went back to working in public schools. So I've lived in Asan, I've lived in Yongin, I've lived in Suwon, and what's the fourth place? Gumpo. So all three of the latter cities are in Gyeonggi-do. Gyeonggi-do is the province that surrounds Seoul. So Seoul is in the middle, and then it's like on the outskirts of Seoul. So I've been all around the outskirts of Seoul. It's quite nice because I was able to take a subway anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour into Seoul. So I was far enough that I didn't have like such a hectic life with crowds and things, but I was able to get in and out quite easily. So that was good. Um, yeah, again, with public schools, working in public schools, I was doing the co-teaching thing. It was also a good experience. I got really close to my co-teachers and my students as well. I had to leave my one public school because there wasn't any more funding in that city for native English speakers, so I moved to Suwon. Suwon is one of the largest cities in Korea, and it's my favorite place there. It has there's the fortress, the big fortress, and a lot of like tourist destination sightseeing to do, but also really good food and just a really good atmosphere. So if you want to, you can look into Suwon as a place to go to. As a place to live in potentially. But yeah, let me look at some of the questions. Oh, just back to the struggles. One thing I would say is if you are going through that period of culture shock, you just have to stick it through. Like you will make friends, you will find a community. It's just a matter of timing, and you have to really be open, have a open mindset, and just try to put yourself in the shoes of Korean people and try to immerse yourself as much as possible, and you will get through that funk that is in the beginning, and it will start to feel like home. So yeah. Are there any differences between private school and public school? Yes. Um, Differences, first one would be class sizes. If you're working in a public school, you're working in anywhere between 20 to 30. 30 is pushing it, but around 25 to 26 students per classroom, so it's quite big. But it's you and your co-teacher, so it's easy to manage because you're two people. With private schools, you are on your own, and you have about 8 kids. I don't think you would have more than 8 students in a class. So that's the one good thing like about private schools. You have quite small class sizes. There's also a set curriculum for private schools. So you don't have to do much lesson planning or anything like that. You know exactly what you have to do every day. They tell you this textbook, these pages, show this video. So there's a lot of like planning that's done for you. Whereas with public schools, you get a textbook, and from the textbook, you have to make up your own material. So making interactive games, making PowerPoint slides, and so on. I would make them do a lot of role plays. So public school, a lot more lesson planning. And then on the flip side, public school, you don't have to write any report cards or do much grading, whereas with private school, that is a big part of your job. And then public school has a lot more vacation days. I think it's 26 days of vacation in addition to the public holidays, whereas private schools you get 10 days, 5 days in summer and 5 days in winter. For me personally, above all else, like I can deal with lesson planning, but above all else, I wanted to be able to come home once a year for to see my family, and that's why I chose public school because I had more vacation days. Yeah. So my favorite part of living and working in Korea, there's a lot. Um, I would say life is easy there. I think that's the part that still sticks in my mind. So I was there for a total of 4 years, teaching in 4 different cities, and everything is just so easy. Public transport, you can go anywhere and be lost. You'll be able to find your way home easily. There's trains, there's buses, there's taxis. Everything is on your phone. Like the apps that you use, it will show you exactly how to get from A to B. So everything was so easy. Getting food delivered, they have this app called Coupang, which is similar to Amazon, but Amazon on steroids. I've had instances where I ordered something in the morning and it came in the evening. Like that's how quick it is. So yeah, in terms of like technology and online shopping, that is just amazing. Everything is clean. For the most part, people just stick to themselves. So I haven't experienced any kind of what's the word? Discrimination. When I was living in a rural town, I would get stares a lot on the bus, but personally, I love that um, because I felt like the celebrity of the area of the town, and so yeah, that was fine with me. But yeah, I see there's another question. Do you have a choice which grade or school you want to teach in? So it depends on if you're going the public or private school route. If you are going public school, you apply and you would either be in elementary school or middle school. High school is very, very rare. So like they choose for you. And then with private school, it depends on which Hagwon you're with. So most of them are kindergarten and elementary school, and then others are elementary and middle school. So those are the kind of choices that you would have. Um, yeah, favorite parts of being in Korea, I would say ease of living, convenience, safety, um, and then also just food. That's the one thing I miss the most. Korea has quite a unique cuisine compared to other countries I visited in the world. I do miss the food. I enjoyed the work-life balance that I had there with working in public schools. Um, and yeah, just the ease of life. I would say that was the best part for me. Um, Let me just check these questions. Uh, what are the relationships like with the students and other teachers? From my experience, Korean children are really respectful. They always treated me well. I mean, there are a few instances where students want to find want more attention, but as a teacher, you can navigate that by using a variety of strategies. Um, when I went to Korea, I had no plan of being a teacher, and after that first year, I knew it was my calling. I'm sure it won't be the same for everyone, but I'm sure that a lot of people went through the same thing. So once I was there, I pursued teaching everything. I wanted to teach everyone and everything English because I enjoy the interaction that I have with the students. I went on to do my postgraduate certificate of education to be a licensed teacher. And yeah, I would probably be in the education field for the rest of my life because of my experience there. Teaching English, as long as you put effort into getting to know your students, building a connection with them, making like your lesson fun. In Korea, they study so much. A lot of the, especially middle school kids, you'll see them going home at 10, 11 p.m. at night with their school uniform. So just trying to make your lesson fun and actually try to have conversations with them so they can practice their English. Um, I I just think I have such a passion for it after going there. So if you're not sure, I think you should give it a shot. You never know what might happen. So I think, yeah, it's a good experience. And then, mm, what's one of the best experiences you've had so far? Oh, there's so many. There's so many, but I was lucky that I found my best friend in Korea, and she was a teacher as well, and we are friends to this day. And she's coming to visit me in Cape Town. So that's one thing. If you go to Korea, you will make new connections and make new relationships and friendships. And even if you are in a rural town, that's fine. You will meet people as long as you put yourself out there. So, yeah, I would say that. Any other questions? I can talk about this for so long. Looking back, what would you have done differently? I'll end off with that question. I would have started studying Korean before I went to Korea. And I would have also, what would I have done differently? No, I'm very happy with my experience. I think there's a reason why I went through everything that I went through. I feel like so much of a better person after that experience. It was it was a good one. So I hope that everyone else can also try to do it. And yeah, if you guys want to leave any questions later on, I'll be happy to come back to that. But good luck on your journey, and thanks for listening to me talk. Bye.